Oh, wow.
Yeah, that looks great. I'm just going to keep it on the 1680 by 1050. All Amiga preferences, I've always had this concept of save or use. Use takes and just sets things in RAM. I don't want to take and change it right now, so it allows you to change the whole system, play with it, completely torque the interface, and if you don't like it, just reboot. You know, because it doesn't save any of the preferences unless you actually say save. So, let me go back to my example here, Personal Paint, and I'll grab the same resolution as I've got here, and this is your classic paint program that you can take and do any kind of paint stuff you want on here. And I can drag the screen.
Long time ago, I could draw on that thing. Long time.
Yeah, a long time ago. Graphics, Personal Paint. This is kind of a stock installation. I've just started to set this up on here, so it's pretty stock, but you do have... so these are multiple screens. Now I can switch between screens with an Amiga. I got it on here.
Like you do in Linux.
Oh, actually, I just changed the keyboard. I've got to change the keyboard to tell it it's a real Amiga keyboard I plugged in. Preferences, input, classic Amiga keyboard, use. Let's try that. No, I think it needs the swap, because this is actually a PC keyboard that's pretending to be an Amiga keyboard. Swap them. Try that. There we go. Now I can rotate through the screens, and I always find that very handy to be able to drag and drop on them. So you got, I can do all this stuff here. So, stuff we do have installed. Odyssey is probably the best web browser we've got at the moment. It's a WebKit-based browser. It works out pretty well, so...
Originally developed for the MorphOS team.
Yes.
They switched a few bits and opened it up to the all the 4.1 systems that are PowerPC.
Yeah,
It's
so-
very nice of them.
What is MorphOS? Is that something built?
That's the well, let's see. One of the original Amiga companies blew up. It blew up and shattered into fractional fan clubs.
Yeah.
One side said, "Take what we got and port it." That's what 4.1 is.
Yeah.
And then another guy said, "No, we're going to ground up this universe and still use PowerPC." That's MorphOS. And then another one went, "No, we're going to convert it all over to x86," and that's, well, what are those guys? AROS.
AROS, Amiga Resource
Really?
or Research
There's
Project.
There's three teams out there making stuff, and they're all about at the same level
Okay.
of triple.
So what I did here is I just told it with the little pop down on here. I told it to jump to a new screen, and it created a new screen. And here's the other couple screens I've got: Workbench and Odyssey. So that's the web browser. That's the Workbench. This is the Paint program. You can get to any of them. If I want to get even more creative on here, I can hold down Shift and I can unlock the screen and put it anywhere I want. And then I can just drag it back to its original position. So this is pretty good for a web browser. It actually will do some.
It's got some decent CSS.
Yes, it's not
perfectly
too bad.
It's
It actually will do some
sometimes you have to
some YouTube
spoof
stuff.
what you are so that it lets you through the hoops.
Yep, it has some settings for that.
But they're built in. So you can
Spoof as, so you can pretend to be other web browsers so that the code will behave better for you.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So
That I didn't even know.
yeah, this is the extreme opposite of the web browser you're currently running.
I know.
Because
I wouldn't say it's an opposite so much as it's the.
he's
advanced
got like
model.
the first actual graphical still runs on a 68,000 web browser for classic Amiga OS, and this is the 2017 current generation.
It's actually
stuff.
3 years old.
Yeah, and it's actually not even that old. It's
Usually about
2013.
yeah.
It's the last update on it. So, and like Dan was saying, it was originally written for MorphOS and it was brought over to Amiga OS 4. But that's not a huge challenge because MorphOS's goal is to be compatible with Amiga OS. So it's not that hard to take and bring stuff over sometimes. But anyway, so like I said, I mean, having full actual screens is terrific. And actually, I think I've got 2 copies of Personal Paint. Thought so. Plus,
Hey, bring up your FTP client. Put that on a screen too,
okay.
because that's actually useful. Because like if you're downloading something, like how long do I have left of my FTP? You can pull a screen down and look at it.
Right.
Yeah, that's how long I have left. Of
So,
course, nowadays the internet being fast.
well, especially if you got a 100 megabit connection. And well, the other guy that's really useful, of course, is Directory Opus. Directory Opus is the king of file managers. This is a port of it based on the open source stuff that was done by GPsoft. They're still around. They create Directory Opus for Windows these days. It is one of the only things, in my opinion, that actually makes Windows tolerable. Because it's a much, much better file manager. But this whole concept of 2 separate, or however many you want, double click on the background, I want some more, I want some more, I want some more. However many destinations, and you could set multiple destinations, lock as multiple destinations on this thing, so you could set up like 5 different target folders and a source folder and say copy, and it'll copy to all of them. You know, just terrific file management stuff from that standpoint. And it can be done as part of the workbench, or you can do it as a separate screen. I like it on a separate screen because then I can do my other stuff on here. And one of the things that I do a lot is this guy. This is the SDK browser. This is the software that I wrote. And it's the guy that I use to take and live browse around the SDK and search for whatever I need.
An SDK, that's a software developer's kit.
Yep.
This is the instructions on how to lay out for each call.
Autodocs. And what's unique about this is the fact that I actually parse all of the layout code for the, it's an XML for this. I can actually show you that because you go to includes, and in libraries, that's the header file for the libraries, so the parent up one. Interfaces. In the interfaces folder, no, that's the